All right. All right, guys, we are at the very end. We are the last part of your NGO project. And so I want to make this as short and sweet and concise as possible. In fact, I've already recorded one and I've decided if I'm trying to tell them to be concise, I got to make my video nice and short and sweet. So here's what you're going to do. Even though you have not started to receive feedback on your template, think of the template as the writing component that you're going to be graded on, because again, it's a project for college. I have to give lots of different ways to give feedback in your skill set that you're building. So whether it's writing, and now you're going to be practicing the video, you're going to be practicing your presentation skills, your public speaking aspect of things. So with that, what I'm getting at is you can start this part of the project without receiving a bunch of feedback yet from your template. If you heeded the advice that I gave you in the feedback of your application, if you narrowed it down, you really expanded on your region, or you tightened up your numbers, or you made a better budget, or you got your objectives a lot clearer, you are still ready to go. You're good to go. And I don't want you to be set back waiting for that feedback, right? Because that's the written part of this. Now, really, where the written is giving you a lot of space to work on those things, the video, the pitch of, 5 minutes in front of an audience, you've got to be really good at knowing what you want to say without a bunch of words. So let's look through this. Now, again, the directions that I've got for you here are nothing more than just the directions that you would have found in the overall NGO project, right? I'm just taking each part of the overview and breaking it out into subsequent sections. So let's look at this. Okay, the absolute number one first thing you have to do, and this isn't a suggestion of, hey, this could help you make this presentation. No, this video is the basis upon what you're making for your own video pitch. So how do you open this? Right click on it and just click on open hyperlink, right? And what you will see is that the slide deck requirements, the next series of slides that you're going to be putting together, are in fact exactly the individual breakouts of this particular presentation. This does such a great job of putting together what you need for putting a nonprofit pitch deck together. I couldn't have said it better myself. And in fact, I have had students utilize this in other presentations, in other courses. If you're going off to do business, I am even serving on an advisory board for a student that graduated that did start their own nonprofit. And this is the video pitched presentation deck that they are using. They're coming back to this video because it does such a good job of showing you exactly how and what you need to get your audience excited. So you have to watch this first, because the rest of this will make sense as far as what do I need to put in there again? And why is this important? And how should I navigate this? And again, going back here, the chapters are even broken down into the individual slides. So if you feel like I've gotten, slides 1 through 6 done, I feel pretty good about that, but I really don't know how to put together my financials, or I really don't know how to put this together in a way, I've got it for you, right? It's nicely broken out here. This content creator did such a fantastic job. I didn't want to try and reinvent the wheel. Now, what you're going to notice, this is 9 minutes, right? That's because they're explaining to you what goes in here. But when you get to here, right, I want you to be able to get this in about 5 minutes or less. Because if you go to the city and you make a presentation pitch, you're going to be slotted in for a time frame. You get to suggest maybe how much time you would like. But if you want to have enough time to make your pitch and then also open it up to the general audience for questions, i.e. the board that you're going to be asking the money for, you need to make sure that if you're slotted for 15 minutes in front of the board, you're really going to only want 5 minutes for your presentation. And you want 10 minutes to be able to answer and fill in any other questions, any other concerns, so that you guarantee in getting that money. So What you're going to do is you're going to put together a video pitch presentation based on these slides, right? And utilizing this previous video to help guide you as to why are these parts important and what do I really need to go in there. So how do I start this, Dr. Barco? I would say open up PowerPoint, right? And literally we know we've got to put in about 9 to 12 slides. Why 9 to 12? Because of the fact that if you need an extra picture or you want an extra space, 12 should be the max with your references and everything else. Anything below that, anything below 9, you probably aren't getting all the content in. So, right, that's why I'm putting that sweet spot in there between 9 to 12. Below 9, you're not going to cover all the bases. Above 12, you're for sure going over 5 minutes. That's why I'm giving you that wiggle room. So what would I do? I would open up this PowerPoint and I would just start putting in, right? How do I start? Here you go, right? I've got the slides. Now what do I need? Okay, well, to make my life easier than putting this together, I'm literally going to put, right, information from each of the slide sizes here onto the slide deck, right? So introduction, traction slide, overview slide. Now I'm at least seeing where I'm going in my presentation. Dr. Vargo, why didn't you just give me a PowerPoint backbone like you did for the city? Well, because this is now creativity. I want to see how creative you can get. And I'm telling you, I have had students come up with some of the coolest video pitches I've ever seen, to the point where I've said, please put this on your LinkedIn as part of your presentation skill set. What do I mean by that? Sometimes when you leave college, they're going to look for, well, what are your skills? How much time have you had out in the field? How much background do you have in this? You might not have a lot for the job you're applying, but this could be a great example of saying, I have presentation skills. I can put together a paper. I can formulate thoughts and put it together in a pitch that is engaging and meaningful, right? These are the types of things your future boss or current boss is going to be looking at and saying, all right, I can see this now. I can see that, Kelly's got great potential in this. And, she's already had some experience doing this. Just food for thought. So now you know what's going in here. Now you're going to put together your slides. So again, watching this video overview is going to make a lot more sense. And again, you don't need the same level of feedback that I gave you between the application and you completing the template, because really what that was doing was me steering you and saying, let's think through what we're really trying to create here. Let's think through, do we have the right size? Are we really getting the right targets? Did we do the right budget? Can we narrow down the demographics we're trying to serve? How about your programming? This seems like far too much programming. Now you've had time to think through that. Now what you're doing is taking the biggest parts of the things that you know you're excited about for your NGO and putting it into the individual components. What should I not see? I should not see slides that look like this. Let me repeat. I should not see slides that look like this. You are in a 4,000 level course. I promise you, this is not your first PowerPoint presentation you've had to put together. You have probably been receiving the same feedback over and over and over. If you do this, you might have even gotten that feedback in the city presentation you had to put together for me, right? This is unacceptable. This is, I'm not prepared. I didn't practice. I don't really know what I'm going to say. And I'm very nervous that I'm not going to be able to get it all correct. That is not the goal. And trust me, you've said it on lectures with professors that have put this up and you've been like, I don't even want to read any of that. And you just tune out and you go to your phone or you do something else or you start talking to your friend because this is not engaging. Do you know what should be on your slides? At most, right? And I'm going to even say take it down even further. This is the most amount of text that should ever be after a bulletin point. What you should have, right, is 1 to 2 things and a big picture. or something that's engaging, something that lets me know what you're doing, something that says, wow, this person practiced, they know exactly what they're going to say, they're looking at me. I can't, now I have to pay attention because they are looking at me, right? You've been in the room when somebody, not even just a professor, when a great fellow student, and we've all admired somebody going, wow, they're really good at this. Like they should go into public speaking. While I'm not saying that that is something you need to consider, you do need to consider that you are in the safety of your own homes. You don't have to do this in front of everybody else, right? And while video is a little bit odd, we are in the digital technology age where social media, Snapchat, friends, FaceTime, dare I even say Facebook because that's ancient, Instagram. Everybody wants to put themselves out there all the time for the most part. So utilize maybe those skill sets and bring it over into here, right? You might even want to put somebody else in the room with you when you're making this pitch, like a family member or somebody you trust and love, right? And give them the pitch so it feels like you have an audience. That is completely okay. In fact, that would even be encouraged because then you can see somebody responding back to you and you could know, ooh, do I need to adjust this? Or, ooh, they didn't really seem like they understood what I was trying to get at here. So I would highly encourage that. So again, things I'm going to be looking for, these components to be in there based upon, again, the feedback and the output, the underlying foundation that you have from the original video, right? And also, how to apply, these are just follow-up questions that everybody needs to consider. If you are going to things like, you pulled out some big pieces of research, right? When you go to your opening pitch page, when you go to your opening introduction, I always tell students the biggest thing we should be thinking about is how do I grab you? How do I make you excited? So if you want to talk about trees, right? I always use that as my example in these videos. Have you ever been walking along and all of a sudden you hear the rustling of the trees and you look up and you wonder, wow, that's such a beautiful thing, but I don't really know what type of tree that is. Do you see how I'm pulling you into a personalized thing? I'm making this engaging to just you. You're going to sit there and go, well, maybe I never thought about that, but I guess now I'm kind of thinking about that, right? That's your grab a moment. So start with something that feels personal to why you chose this. Then, right, when you move into and what you did with your template in the overview of the strategic plan first is you gave some background as to why this is a concern. Maybe you want to say, did you realize that thousands of trees every year are being decimated in grapevine? What? Why would there be thousands of trees being decimated in grapevine? Right? You're giving me the gotta moment. And that's really important when it comes to making a pitch. So I've already went way over in my own explanation, but I want you to look through this. If you're unsure, if you're not really, Dr. Barr, I just don't really know how to start, or I don't really know, I don't know my gotta moment. I don't know what I want to say. Well, go back to why are you writing about this as an NGO? If you can't really find a reason, you might have to creatively think of one. But more importantly, it's just a practice of presentation skills. Again, I will add in more detail around here as to what is going to get me an A, what is going to get me a B, what is going to get me a C, right? I'll add in the rubric so that we know what we're shooting for here. But I wanted to get this on your radar. You can start making this now without any major feedback from the writing part of it. Because the writing part of it is the one detailing of looking at the details and how you use your research. Now you're getting into the creative part of this. Less text is better, more pictures, more engagement, more practicing, more enthusiasm, color, right? And making sure we're tight on that time of presentation. Those are going to be the most important pieces here. I will also follow up too throughout the week. But again, if you have any questions, please shoot me an email throughout the work week. Weekends tend to be hard for me because I do unfortunately have a life, and sometimes it's hard for me to capture if you're writing me, 3 hours before the due date. I might not get to you in time. Okay, enough said. I have talked your ear off and my own. Good luck. Any questions, please, please, please reach out. Okay, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.